All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Mocktail Minutes. This is Bailey.
And this is Brianna.
And this week we have a special guest coming on. Very excited to have her. So before we get to Gaige, our guest, she's going to introduce herself. We'll give our mocktails we're doing. So today I am doing just ingredients. They're like flavored water packets. So this one's strawberry limeade. If you are a Sonic person and like their limeades, this is a great little substitute, and it's made from like strawberry powder. So we love the ingredients and just ingredients products.
I must be under a rock because I didn't know they had that.
Oh my gosh. So I got it on they had like a 20% off on their birthday deal. I ordered like 8 different things that I don't know why I did, but they taste good, so it's fine.
Yeah, I missed it. I was dumb. I knew I should have ordered before. I'm drinking a Recess. It's not carbonated because I'm trying to drink less carbonation, whatever. Anyways, it's pretty good. This is the strawberry rose. I'm assuming it's just rose and not rosé because there's not that little line above the E.
They have like a mojito flavor that I've seen, and I've been wanting to get that, but I haven't pulled the trigger on that one.
Yeah, it's good. I've had it.
Okay.
Yeah.
To try that. Well, yes, let's introduce our guest.
I'm drinking blue tea.
Did you say blue tea?
Yeah, I knew you guys were going to ask me like what it was. And I just looked on the package before and it literally just says like blue tea. It's actually from like Dubai. But
Interesting. Does it have like a certain taste, or does it kind of just taste like regular tea?
it's honestly a little bit flowery.
Okay.
It's a good flowery though.
I just imagine blueberries, but it's probably
Yeah, that's all. Yes. So, welcome to Mocktail Minutes. Gaige, do you want to give our audience a little bit of an introduction about who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited. So, background, I have been a nurse for about 3 years. I did a majority of my career at the bedside in the ER. And just as a brand new nurse, you see things that I don't think people are normally supposed to see. We see a lot of death, we see a lot of trauma, accidents, all that type of stuff. And then just on top of that, working 12-hour shifts, having to stay up all night sometimes, or, my shift a lot of times was 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. or 1 p.m. to 1 a.m., just working kind of crazy hours.
Yeah.
And seeing a lot of traumatic stuff. I started coping in very unhealthy ways through food, sometimes oversleeping, a lot of binge watching TV, and that caused me to gain about 15 pounds, and I became pretty much the heaviest I'd ever been in my life. And on top of that, I just had horrible habits. I wasn't eating well. I was sleeping all the time. I wasn't working out, and I just got very frustrated. And so I started looking for some type of program that I could do while working 12-hour shifts. And I even hired a trainer. That went okay, but he just didn't really understand like what I was going through or like why I couldn't work out on certain days of my shifts. And so I just decided to make my own program. And since then, it's called TLRNs, Team Lifts for Nurses. And there are about 300 nurses in the program so far. And on average, most people lose about 20 to 30 pounds.
So do you mainly focus on like the workout side of things? Do you go into nutrition at all? Or like you kind of mentioned the stress piece of things as well?
Yeah. So 3 workouts a week is what I really focus on. And then for nutrition, we focus a lot on mindful eating, prioritizing protein, and make sure that we're eating within your overall goals, but not restricting and mainly focusing on whole food.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, and I liked how you mentioned like you've worked with a trainer before, but they just didn't understand. And that was a big reason we asked you to come on, because we've worked with several shift workers through Metabolism Makeover. And yes, we can give all this advice to them, tell them, oh, here, try this. But I think it's hard to really put it in perspective when we have not worked a 12-hour shift before. We haven't lived that life. So that was like our main reason of asking you to come on today.
Yeah, I had when I was working with that trainer, I remember he got mad at me one time because I didn't go to the gym after working a 12-hour shift. And I want to be like, dude, listen, you don't understand what goes on. Like, to me, working out is as much of a mental exercise as it is a physical one. Like when you're working out, if you really want to see results, you've got to make sure that you're bringing a lot of intensity. You're really focusing on like mind muscle connection. Anybody can go to the gym and just fly through the workouts, but you're most likely not going to see great results.
Yeah.
So I think that your mind needs to be fresh as well as your body whenever you go into the gym.
Well, and then just the stress piece of it too. Like we talk with clients all the time about stress management and how important that is for your health, but also like your weight loss goals. If you're like always just like your cortisol is peaking throughout the day, you're not going to be able to lose weight. And so, yeah, coming off a really stressful 12-hour shift, the last thing you need to do is like go hit the gym really hard. Like,
Yeah.
probably what you need.
Yes, I mean that's like a 17-hour day just in like because for 12 hours like most shift workers and nurses work 7p to 7a or 7a to 7p. So that means we're clocking in at 6:50 a.m. latest, and then from 6:50 to 7:30 like you have to be mentally there. And it's like it's not just like kind of flippant work. Like I remember the first time like taking report. I remember being like 22 and taking report for the first time and feeling like someone's life is in my hands for 12 hours. Like you're so stressed for those 12 hours. Yes, the last thing you need to do is go to the gym, go home, take a shower, eat, chill, relax.
Mhm. So you've mentioned like you've had over 300 nurses in your program currently. Do you work with other types of shift workers or is it mainly nurses?
I would say 97% is nurses. I do have like maybe some PAs, nurse practitioner. I have a vet
Okay.
in there, and then a military drill instructor. But other than those, like 4 or 5 kind of outliers, it's all nurses.
Okay, cool. So you kind of started to get into one of our questions was like, should shift workers be focusing on working out on work days?
Mhm. I say absolutely no. I like to say that magic happens on your days off as a nurse on a
Yeah.
weight loss journey, right? Because whenever you're working your 12-hour shift, like on your work days, your hands are pretty much tied. You have no idea what you're about to walk into when you walk into the hospital for your shift. Sometimes it can be kind of chill. That is almost never the case. Most of the time, you are going to be slammed the entire time. This is why like the magic needs to happen on your days off. You need to prepare that you might not get a lunch. So let me make sure that I'm like packing some snacks for my shift tomorrow because I might not get a lunch, right? I need to make sure that I am hitting the gym on my days off, or maybe trading some TV time for going to get some steps outside and getting in the sun and just feeling better overall.
And even with the no lunch piece of things, so that's something that I've discussed with a few people as well because they're like, I just don't have time to get lunch in. So, what is your advice kind of around there for someone who all of a sudden, like, shift gets busy and now you don't have time for lunch, and now it turns into like the little hospital crackers all day long?
Yeah. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Anticipate that you might not be able to get a lunch. This is why, like, I really encourage nurses to control the controllables. You can't control what happens at work, but we can control how we prepare going into work and even before work. So even if you can, like, eat something on the way to work, maybe just eat, like, maybe just drink a protein shake or something on the way to work. Make sure you have like 2 to 3 snacks that you can pull out your pocket while you're charting, or maybe while you're running into the supply closet. Is it optimal? No, but it's better than absolutely nothing. So if you're eating some type of breakfast, at least maybe 2 snacks, and you get home and you can eat a meal, that's going to be way better than eating nothing all day and then getting home and then just binging whatever you can find in the pantry.
Yeah. And like almost like stress eating, right? Because you've had such a stressful day and you're starving because you haven't
Yes.
eaten. I
Yes.
like that you said like control what you can control and then also like not everything's going to be optimal. I think a lot of people get in their way. It's almost like I don't know what my day is going to look like, so there's no point to plan. And like we're just waiting for it to be like this perfect thing and stressing when we didn't get a lunch today. So I'm just gonna snack or not have anything or go to the vending machine when it's like, okay, we could have done a little better, and a little better is better than nothing.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but like if you can anticipate it and then plan around it. Planning around it is going to do so much more than getting there and then winging it. And then, say we don't eat breakfast or anything and we don't have any snacks. And then now it's 2 o'clock and you're in the thick of your day and it's time for your lunch. And you're like, shoot, let me run down to the cafeteria. Oh, all they have is fried chicken and mashed potatoes. Like, this is what I'm going to eat today. And then you now have 10 minutes to eat because you had to go down to the cafeteria. And it's still not food that's like great for you. And so, yeah.
And even thinking about the vending machine snacks or something like that, it's always so interesting to me because I mean, I've had a few comments made or people asking me about like you eat so many protein bars or because I mean a lot of times when they're seeing me eat a protein bar it's because we're out of routine. I need something quick and easy. But then it's like we're nervous to eat a protein bar with quality ingredients, but then we go to a vending machine to get a few bags of chips and kind of like better ingredients wise, they're going to keep us fuller for longer if we actually do something with protein. And even the thoughts around like healthy eating is more expensive. I was just at the gas station and an RX bar compared to a bag of those small chips was like a 30-cent difference. I was like, I'd rather spend the 30 cents and get something with some protein and egg whites and the dates and almonds and all the other ingredients that are in it.
Absolutely.
I think it's because when most people are going to the vending machine, it's like, I don't want to say a last resort, but I feel like people are kind of just done. They're like, I'm hungry, I'm done, I'm getting a snack. And
Yeah.
there's never really fantastic things in there, you know? So it's like, that's what we're grabbing for. And like, I'm a big cheerleader of like, eat something, don't go starving. But if you're consistently just finding yourself like reaching for something as a last resort, we got to start planning a little bit better because you're not working optimally when you're just like in that survival mode all the time, you know?
It's funny you say that too, because I had a friend, he works in construction, and there was a vending machine. The outside of it says like healthy eating, nutritious foods. It has like fruits and vegetables all over it. The actual vending machine had like sodas in it. It was full of chips, full of honey buns, like nutty buddies. And I'm like, he said, this is not dietitian approved, is it? I said, yeah, that vending machine's a little misleading.
Misleading. We can do a little better. I like that we're talking about food because this comes up all the time. So I get nurses who ask me like, what should I do because my work day is so different than my off day? Should I be trying to be consistent or like how do my days off look different or how do my days at work look different than my days off? Does that make sense? Like eating
Yeah.
wise.
So whenever you're at work, the main priority is like, I hope I can get a lunch today. Like if we can get a lunch today, like we're doing great. And it kind of goes back to like the controlling the controllables. Let's try to eat, even if you have to get up like 15 minutes early, like just kind of eat something before we start slamming caffeine. That's a very big thing within nursing culture is a lot of coffees, a lot of energy drinks. I personally don't have a problem with them. Like try to go with the sugar-free version for the most part, and then try to eat something beforehand so we're not messing up our stomach or anything like that. Try to eat a good lunch, but kind of like I said before, that goes back to the magic happens on your days off. But
Mhm.
I always encourage nurses to meal prep twice a week, once right before their shift, the day before their shift, and then the day after. Because, the day before your shift, now those next 3 days are covered. And then whenever your next day off, then your days off are covered. So it's just this continuous cycle.
Smart.
Do you have any go-to meal prep things that you like to do that are kind of on the quicker side? Because I know that's also something that when we think of meal prep, everyone's like, I don't want to spend 4 hours meal prepping,
Yeah.
especially I just work 12 hours.
Yeah. I think that's a common misconception that meal prepping has to take, 4 or 5 hours. I can meal prep for my husband and I in probably like 40 minutes. And it is a little bit more time. Like when you think about, like, do I want to cook for 40 minutes? Well, no. But that 40 minutes is going to set me up for the next 3.5 days so that I can actually be more in line with, my fitness goals. something that we cooked for years because it's so easy and it's so good. It's just like lean ground turkey, and then we put taco seasoning in it. And then, I like to add in my peppers and onions. I'll sometimes add in like some black beans, corn, cilantro rice, maybe a little bit of lime. And, all that takes, again, maybe 40 minutes. I can like go ahead and ration it out and it's good to go.
Good.
Yeah, that's a good one. Always just keeping it simple, picking out that protein, even doing like a crock pot chicken. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we've talked all the time about it doesn't have to be the big elaborate thing like the 4 hours, just doing something to kind of help set you up for that week too, even if it's just the protein piece of it, because that's often what takes the longest to get done.
Yeah, yeah.
Any like go to snacks you like to have on hand?
I love Greek yogurt. I could eat Greek yogurt all the time. That's a super easy one. Obviously, like protein bars is a super easy one, or a protein shake. Cottage cheese is a great one. There's some high quality beef jerkies out there that are super easy. You can keep in your pocket. Tuna packets are another easy one. Just kind of like grab and go. You can make turkey roll ups with some maybe organic deli meat, things like that.
Okay.
Those are good ones.
Well, on the topic of food still, so break room snacks, that is one that I had put up a question box where people submitted questions. So that's where a lot of these questions have came from. But like break room snacks, because at the hospital, it's always like you go into the break room, there's donuts, there's cupcakes, there's Halloween candy, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what are
Yep.
your tips, yeah, to kind of like navigate that without also having to feel like really deprived or restricted?
Yeah. Yeah. What I'm always going to say first is, are you stressed or are you hungry? Because a
Mhm.
lot of the times we're just stressed and we run into the break room because we need something like a water bottle, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's another cake here today. Like, do I want this piece of cake? So let's first ask ourselves, are you hungry or are you stressed? Because if we're hungry, that's fine. We need to eat. But is the cake or the cookie or the pizza or whatever going to be the thing that truly fuels our body well, fills us up, all that good stuff? So if you're hungry, let's eat one of the snacks that you brought first. Let's do that first. And then I say walk out of the room completely, because chances are you're going to walk out of the room, you're now going to be satisfied, and you can go on with your day. If whatever you want, like whatever is there, say it's a cupcake, like say that you really do want that cupcake, go back in, eat half, enjoy it, and then go back on your day.
Yeah. It's always like a simple way to do it, but I think we can tend to overthink the situation, or where we will try to kind of have that walk away point, but it's like the whole time we're walking away, all we can think about is, I can't have a cupcake. I can't have a cupcake. So, of course, it's going to be like on our mind, but just redirecting your thoughts a little bit too.
Yeah, yeah. And if while we're kind of focusing on that in that moment of like, man, I want the cupcake, man, I want the cupcake, go back in and eat it. Like, so you can just forget about it. Eat it, enjoy it while you're eating it. It's food. Like, there's no, I don't believe that there's good foods and bad foods. I believe
Mhm.
there are foods that like fuel our body much better than others, and science proves that. A
Yeah.
cupcake is a food that doesn't really fuel our bodies well, and that's okay, but it tastes good. So it's okay to like just eat the cupcake, and then we're going to move on with our day.
Yeah. And you're still going to get something from it, right? Like, still
Yeah.
going to get some sort of like, I like that question though, that prompt, like, am I stressed or am I hungry? Because I feel like just nursing in general, it's stress all day. It's a high stress job. That's what it is.
Yep.
So, what is like some tips for you that you give to people about like stress management and like how you can deal with stress like on shift?
Ooh, on shift.
Well, it can also be off shift, but I feel like on shift could be helpful if you have any, if any. Because what I
Yeah.
tell people is like, let's breathe, you know?
Yeah. On shift, ask for help. Like rely. There really is not a whole lot. Unfortunately, that can be done whenever like you're on shift and in the thick of it. I mean, there were some times that were like, somebody's gonna get hurt. Like, oh my gosh, like somebody's life is in my hands. I need help right now. Like,
Right now, for
call
example.
that charge nurse and be like, I need you to get in this room, or I need somebody to cover my patient because this person is circling the drain, type of thing. Ask for help. Don't ever just, like, if a question pops in your mind, ask it. Get somebody else. If there's ever a doubt in your mind about a med that you're about to give or a skill you're about to do, get somebody else in there that is more seasoned and that knows more than you do, so that you can learn, have peace of mind, and it's going to be better for the patient overall.
I like that. What about off shift?
Off shift, working out is just a huge stress reliever for me. And I think that if we can just get up and like get our workout done kind of in the morning, it's going to set the tone for the rest of the day. Because I think as nurses, we can get in this super unhealthy cycle where we have a super stressful 3 days. Like you're completely overstimulated for 3 days, 12-hour shifts, in a row. And then for our next 4 days off, or our next stretch off, however many days that may be, all we kind of want to do is just like veg. Like, no one talk to me.
Yeah.
Let me watch TV. And I think that a little bit of that is fine. But what it can do is I think that it can almost just wear our bodies down more. If all we're doing for 4 days in a row is sitting on the couch and, just kind of watching TV, like laundry's going to pile up. We're not really going to have many healthy foods to eat. We're going to feel more tired. So it sounds counterintuitive, but if you really want to have more energy and be more at peace overall, we need to get up and kind of make some things happen at the beginning of the day. But that's going to give you so much more energy. You're just going to be more kind of like in control of your life, so to speak. You're going to get more done around the house. You're going to be able to actually cook your meals, be more on top of your health. And I think that is that's going to help you be a better nurse for your patients. That's going to help you be a better coworker, for all the other nurses that are there. That's what's going to help you be a better wife or better friend or daughter, whatever it may be.
Do you want to talk more about like the motivation piece of things, and maybe like you might not be motivated, to be honest?
Yeah, probably not.
Motivation is tough because motivation essentially is just an emotion. You know, we I always like to compare it to I like to compare nursing. Uh, I like to compare fitness to nursing school a lot because nursing school is incredibly tough, but all the nurses that went, are in my program and are nurses, you obviously went through nursing school. So if you can get through nursing school, you can do this too. Like, you can get into the best shape of your life too. They're both hard, but they're different types of hard. They're different types of discipline. Did you feel like studying whenever you were in nursing school? Definitely not. Did you want to get up and go to clinicals at 4:30 in the morning? Probably not. But you were willing to be very disciplined for a short period of time in order to have the long goal of, being a nurse for the rest of your life, for the next 60 years. That's what I tell my clients whenever it comes to being on a fitness journey. Like, hey, we are going to have to buckle down for these next few months if you want to hit, these weight loss goals. But if we can really buckle down and get it done, you're going to be set forever, because once we get the weight off, it is so much easier to manage than while you're actually doing it. Like, I would say you have to be like almost twice as disciplined while you're trying to reach that goal, versus when you reach it, you can kind of let off the brakes a little bit because you're at the goal, so you can enjoy it.
You have more of kind of that like metabolic flexibility, I would say. And how you mentioned like choosing your hard, I think it's a very good kind of quote, is just choosing what type of hard you want to be in. I've made a reel before that like talked about sometimes we have to be an adult and make dinner even though we don't want to. So I think there's always going to be things in our life that we may not want to do. We may not be motivated, but sometimes we just have to buck up and eat some vegetables or go get our workout in.
I want that on a shirt.
There was
Okay.
something that like motivates me a lot too. Is it was a family on TikTok. They went completely viral, and it was a mom, a dad, and a little boy. And the mom had cervical cancer. Her name is Haley. Have you guys heard of her by chance?
I don't know if I've seen hers.
I don't know.
Well, they went viral, and like people have been following her story. And unfortunately, it was terminal, and she did end up passing away. But at the funeral, her husband spoke and he talked about 5 lessons that he learned from Haley while she was going through chemo. And then eventually, when she found out that there was nothing more they could do, and their faith was very big in their life. And the number one thing they said was faith. But the second thing they talked about after that, he said, at her funeral after faith, was health. He said that the number one thing Haley said she would do if she was healthy is she would be the biggest health nut that you've ever met in your life. And like that,
Yeah.
that just blew my mind of how much we take it for granted. That was a woman in her early 30s, literally on her deathbed. And she said if there was anything she could do, it should have been to take her health seriously. And not to say that she didn't, but
Yeah.
Right.
if she had the chance and was in a healthy body, that's the first thing she would do.
Well, and I think it's just our culture too. We do take health and youth for granted, and then until we can't, right? And then it's like, oh, but I like how you said you kind of got to just do it, right? And I work with a lot of moms and I see this all the time. Like, they are not prioritizing themselves. It's similar to like that nursing school, right? You did it. It was hard, but you did it. It was like a non-negotiable for you. I have to do this. There's no question about it. And that's how a lot of moms feel like with their kids and everything else they're juggling, their career, their home life, everything. Everything gets done except for them. And it's almost like we need to treat our goals, how we want to feel, as that like non-negotiable. Like,
Yeah.
this is something I have to do. And I think it really changes when people start treating it like that. Because most times we'll do the hard stuff if there's like a goal, but we don't view our own goals as like a goal.
Yeah.
We just don't look at it the same way.
Yeah.
I think it'd be helpful.
Yeah. What would you say are kind of non-negotiables you would set for shift workers to focus on? You could even separate if it's easier for like working day versus non-working day.
We love our non-negotiables.
Yes.
Non-negotiables. Okay, non-negotiables. Let's start with days off first. Just walk. Walking is one of the most underrated fat loss tools
Mm-hmm.
ever. There's literally research that it can be just as helpful as like hit cardio in some instances. Like if you can like go take your dog for a walk. Like that poor thing hadn't been walking forever. Like you're on night shift. It probably hasn't seen the sun. Like
Yeah.
neither have you. So, like, get outside for a walk, listen to a podcast, clear your mind of just like do something that you just enjoy and have some physical activity because that's immediately just going to boost your mood and like get you in just a better headspace. I think I encourage working out at least 3 days a week on your off days. Make sure to bring like a lot of intensity, a lot of mindfulness. That's going to make you feel a lot better. And honestly, this one isn't as much fitness related, but like just be around people that you love and that love you. Working 12s and I don't know, you just see some horrific stuff. And I think that it just reminds you to enjoy life, enjoy people. For working days, man, non negotiables, make it through. Sure,
Bye.
Survive the day.
make sure your patients are alive.
Yes.
Let's try to
Trending the other way,
let's try to eat some lunch and then go team. Let's make it happen.
Just survive on those days. Other days you can thrive.
Exactly. We thrive on our off days so that we can survive on our work day.
You bring like a good, refreshing perspective because I feel like there's so much pressure on people, especially like you're a nurse. Like, you have a stressful job, your schedule is stressful, and like you just want to do everything perfect the same day, and you just get so down on yourself when you don't. And then we have you being like, listen, the magic is going to happen on those off days. Let everything just like
Yeah.
ride a little bit, ride a little bit, and it's like, okay, like I can do that, right? Like if I was a nurse, I'd be like, okay, I could try to get in some snacks and
Yeah.
take some breaths during the day, and like I can come home after work. I can do that.
There's a lot of times I'm having pep talks with clients. It's like, hey, we got to take a breath. Like, I'm like, zoom out, big picture. It's going to be fine. Like, let's make sure to cook a meal today and you're going to do great tomorrow.
Yeah. And I think the sunshine is important too, because it's true. When I was interning at the hospital, I felt like I was in a cave all day. Like I'd come out and I'd be like, oh, the outside. I don't even know what the weather is. I don't know.
I love comparing the hospital to a casino. You have
What
no
day?
idea. Like it would just be the weirdest thing sometimes because sometimes my shifts, like I said, they were at sometimes like 11 a.m. or 1 p.m. So I'm going in when it could be a beautiful day outside, like not a cloud in the sky, and then I'm walking into work and it's like there's 35 people in the waiting room, like there's a cardiac arrest coming in. And I'm like, you feel like you're walking into like a video game sometimes. Like you're like, this cannot be real life. How is this like?
No, it's
How
so
is this?
nice out there.
Yes, it's the weirdest thing. It's the most odd thing ever.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of things. I guess one last thing, what is your advice around sleep? Because sleep is a big thing. And I mean, sleep is a big part of the weight loss, fat loss process as well. So, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts around how do we get the sleep in?
This is going to look a little bit different for everybody. When you're on day shift, it's obviously like much easier. So I'm going to speak more to the night shift or like swing shift people. What works for me may not be what works for someone else. Like there are some people that sleep all night and then they'll get up at like 6 a.m. so that they can take a nap during the day and then make sure to go in for their night shift and stay up all night. That was not me. I was trying to stay up until like 3 a.m. so that I could sleep in until like noon and then I would be up for the next like 17, 18 hours. Find what works for you. Do research on like certain things. Like if you need blackout curtains, get some blackout curtains. If you need some melatonin, get some melatonin. If you need an eye mask, set your house at 67 degrees or
Mhm.
whatever. Do whatever you need to do that is going to be most optimal for you. And the other thing I would say is just try not to overthink it so much, because essentially we know it, but night shift is literally just the opposite of day. So whatever you would do during the day, flip that and just do it for night.
I'm like solar powered.
Yeah. Most optimal when in the sun.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's 4 a.m. Good night.
Yeah. And I think also getting like those happy lights, is that what they're called? Those
Yeah.
can be helpful for like your circadian rhythm and when you don't ever get to see the sun to kind of mimic the sun a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe if you work on a floor where you can take like a little bit of a break, maybe just like pop outside for a second. Like sun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so different, like the dynamic in the hospital, like all the different floors. It's like a completely different environment. They're all struggling. Like I will say that is a hard job, but it's just funny, like the different
Oh,
things that
it's
are going on.
it's hilarious. Like I'm an ER nurse through and through, and it's kind of a known thing that ER nurses and ICU nurses butt heads. And so like we've all gotten in a fight on the phone. Like every ER nurse has been in a fight with the ICU nurse, and every ICU nurse has been in a fight with an ER nurse. It's a mutual respect, but like sometimes we need to know our place respect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny.
Yeah, I think this was good. And I think our overall idea here was just to show you what you can do because, I mean, there are so many times where we just get in our own way because we see a barrier pop up and we're like, oh, yep, can't do that. Or
Yeah.
stuff that like Brianna and I will talk about. And if that doesn't work for your work or your life, cool. What does work? So I
Yeah.
think that was kind of the main idea with talking about all these things is just giving you that power back.
Yeah. You don't have to mimic what someone else online is doing when their life looks completely different from yours. Like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's like we've all seen the influencers where it's like I've got such a busy day today, and it's like Target or Botox appointment, and it's like wow.
Make it real. Making it real is hard, but it's not the same.
Yeah, but like for nurses, working sometimes 3, 4, 12-hour shifts a week, like that's not possible. So just doing as much as you can as optimally as possible is what is going to allow you to stay consistent. If you try to go to the gym 6 times a week, it's most likely not going to happen. And then you're going to get frustrated, stop, and then the cycle is going to repeat itself.
Mhm.
If you can consistently go 3 days a week on your off days, that 3 days a week is going to do substantially more than the 6 days for the 2 weeks that you were able to go.
Mhm. And you are living proof that it is possible to get the weight loss, to reach your fitness goals, even when your schedule isn't ideal or you're having to work different shifts and everything. So that's always nice too, to get it from someone who's actually like lived through it.
Absolutely. If I can do it, absolutely anyone can do it. I believe that with my entire heart. And that's why I made this program, is to show other nurses that it is possible and you can do it with the right program in place.
Do you want to share a little bit more about what exactly your program is, what it entails, what's all included?
Yeah. So 3 workouts per week. I have a conversation with you beforehand about what your goals look like. I primarily work with weight loss clients. I would say like 90% of clients I work with are weight loss. So I will set up nutrition goals based off of whatever your fitness goals are. And then I do bi weekly check ins. So I make sure that we are trending in the right direction. You get a personal profile, also a VIP group with over 300 nurses in it. So, literally, just nurses that are all doing the same thing and all in the same program in one place. And then I also send out a midweek motivation video. So, I kind of sit down like this and do a motivational video at least once a week to kind of get you through your week. And on top of all that, a daily messaging with me.
Wow,
Nice.
that's awesome. Sounds amazing.
Where can people find you? Like, where can listeners look you up?
Instagram, Gaige Matthews _, and then GAIGEMATTHEWS _. And if you're interested in coaching with me, just shoot me a DM.
Nice.
All right. That sounds great. Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us today and giving out some great tips. I know we have lots of shift workers that are very much going to appreciate this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've had a blast.
You're welcome. Maybe we'll have to have you on again sometime.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Yes. Well, all right, everyone. We will talk to you guys next week and see you later. Bye.
Bye.